What if everything you fear about 2025 is about to be revealed? My name is Sarah, and after a near-death experience, I met Jesus, who shared urgent warnings that could change our future. Stay tuned to discover the transformative message we must embrace together, or face the impending chaos alone. Before the accident, I was a 35-year-old woman grappling with a personal crisis. My faith wavered like a flickering candle, and I often felt disconnected and lost in a world that felt increasingly chaotic. I remember questioning everything: my choices, my relationships, and where I fit into the grand scheme of life. There was a heaviness that lingered on me daily, as if a storm was brewing just out of sight. As I sat in my car, adrenaline coursing through my veins, I had no idea that in mere moments, I would leave my body behind and come face to face with Jesus. The impact was imminent, and with it came a terrifying clarity. I had yet to grasp the profound transformation waiting for me beyond that moment. I remember it vividly. The sound of screeching tires and the blinding headlights that seemed to grow larger by the second. In an instant, everything went dark. It's strange how time slows down in moments of sheer terror. I felt like I was living in a slow-motion film, with my heart pounding against my ribcage, drowning out all other sounds, until they too faded into silence. The collision happened on a remote road, slick with rain that had begun to come down heavily just moments before. I recall the chaotic dance of the windshield wipers battling against the relentless downpour as I drove, completely unaware of the fate that awaited me. Witnesses later recounted hearing the crunch of metal like thunder rolling across the sky. I was declared clinically dead for 6 minutes. Just 6 minutes. But in that time, everything shifted for me. In those last fleeting seconds of consciousness, as the impending impact closed in, I was engulfed in panic. My mind raced with thoughts of unfinished business, the things I would never say or do again. But oddly, as that impending blackness approached, I also felt an unexpected calm wash over me. It was as if a force was drawing me away from the chaos, beckoning me into a different realm, one where everything that felt heavy in my life would evaporate. Little did I know, the peace I craved and the clarity I longed for awaited me beyond that darkness. It was just the beginning of a journey that would transform everything I thought I knew about life, death, and what lies beyond. I felt a sudden detachment from my body, as if I were watching a dramatic scene unfold from a distance. I floated above the chaos, gazing down at the paramedics scrambling to revive me. There was something surreal about it. My body lay there, crumpled and broken, while I hovered unscathed, observing the frantic movements of those trying to bring me back to life. Instead of fear, an overwhelming curiosity took hold. I wondered how this was possible and marveled at the incredible scene, almost like a movie playing out before my eyes. It was then that I noticed the light. It enveloped me, warm and inviting, yet dazzling in its brilliance. I felt an inexplicable sense of love washing over me, as if each beam of light wrapped around me like a comforting embrace. All my doubts, my worries, and my fears began to dissipate into nothingness. In that moment, I understood that everything I had been grappling with in my earthly life was suddenly insignificant compared to the tranquility that enveloped me. There was a sense of assurance, a calm reassurance that everything was okay, and I realized that I was, in fact, safe. Time seemed to warp in those 6 minutes. Each second stretched into what felt like an eternity. I oscillated between serenity and an unexpected urgency. I now felt more alive than I ever had. Yet even amidst this serenity, something profound stirred deep inside me. I sensed a purpose was beginning to unfurl, a calling that whispered just out of reach, teasing my mind and spirit. Then, as I glided closer to the radiant source of this light, I heard it. My name called so gently yet powerfully. Sarah. The voice echoed with such authority and kindness that it sent chills down my spine. It was a voice that resonated with love, one that promised insights beyond my wildest imagination. I had no idea that this moment of recognition would alter everything I believed about life, death, and my purpose here on earth. And in that pivotal instant, I felt the weight of my journey begin to shift as I headed toward the light with an open heart. I couldn't begin to describe the moment I found myself in his presence. It was as if time itself had folded, and everything else, the worries, the chaos of life, vanished in an instant. When Jesus appeared before me, his essence enveloped me like a warm blanket on a cold night. I felt an overwhelming sense of love coursing through my being, a recognition that I was in the presence of something far beyond human comprehension. It was a love that didn't just surround me, it penetrated the very depths of my soul. In those moments, clarity washed over me like a cleansing tide. All my fears, my regrets, every mistake I had ever made felt exposed, laid bare under his unwavering gaze. Yet, there was no judgment in his eyes, only acceptance. I realized that my struggles, the weight I had carried for so long, were not failures but vital pieces of my journey. They were part of the narrative that led me here, to this exact moment of revelation and grace. As he spoke, his voice was both gentle and commanding, echoing in the chambers of my heart. "You must prepare for what lies ahead, Sarah," he said. 2025 holds critical trials for humanity. The urgency of his message pierced through the warmth, settling deep within me like a heavy stone. Every syllable hung in the air, asking me to absorb not just the words, but the depths of meaning behind them. I felt the gravity of his warning manifesting as vivid scenes in my mind. Each image that unfolded was haunting yet revealing. Natural disasters, societal chaos, a world stretched to the brink of despair. And as swiftly as they arrived, they were coupled with the knowledge that these visions could change. They weren't set in stone. What we chose now would ripple into the future. The understanding that our collective actions held the power to prevent these calamities was both terrifying and liberating. In that sacred exchange, I felt a mixture of fear and something else. Hope. Hope. Hope that our spirit could unite to navigate the storm ahead. "I see you, and I love you," I felt him say, even as the weight of the warning lingered. This was not just about doom and gloom, it was about the possibility of light, compassion, and the strength to forge a different path. With his presence still illuminating my inner darkness, my heart swelled not just with fear, but with a newfound motivation to carry his message into the world. I knew I had a role to play, not just for myself, but for everyone. It was at that moment, standing on the precipice of understanding, that I vowed to become the vessel through which this urgent call to action could flow. I knew I couldn't keep this experience to myself. It was a privilege, but also a responsibility, ignited by every truth he had revealed. The moment of the warning is etched into my memory with an urgency I can hardly shake. As I stood in the luminous embrace of Jesus, I was shown images that would haunt and inspire me in equal measure. Flashes of natural disasters, raging floods engulfing cities, wildfires consuming vast landscapes, and storms that tore through communities with terrifying force. Each scene unfolded before me like a vivid, unstoppable film. I felt my heart race as I absorbed the raw intensity of what could lie ahead. With each catastrophe, I also glimpsed the societal chaos that followed. People divided, fear gripping hearts, and communities stretched thin by desperation. My chest felt heavy, and the reality of these visions weighed down on me. And then, in that moment, Jesus turned to me, his presence radiating peace, yet filled with an urgent resolve. He looked deeply into my eyes and said, "If humanity does not change its course, the calamities will escalate. Be the light that guides others." His words were not just a warning. They were a call to action that I could not ignore. I sensed that this was more than a prophecy of doom. It was an invitation to break the cycle of despair. He urged us to unite in compassion, to embrace love, understanding, and kindness as our foundational principles. The thought of inaction sent a shiver down my spine. I realized that while the images I witnessed were daunting, they were not inevitable if we chose differently. "There is a path forward," he continued, his voice unwavering. "You must prepare, not just on the surface, but spiritually. Life's journey is not about mere survival. It's about love. Those words settled within me, igniting something deep and powerful. I felt an immense desire to share what I had seen, and the weightiness of the responsibility resting upon my shoulders. As he conveyed this profound wisdom, my heart swelled, not only with fear about the troubling future I had been shown, but also with a motivation I had never before experienced. I knew I couldn't keep this to myself. The urgency of his directive resonated within me, and I felt the pull to spread his message far and wide. We need to prepare spiritually, he impressed upon me, and it was as if he was charging me with a mission, one that transcended my own fears or doubts. I left that encounter with a newfound clarity, not just about what lay ahead, but about my role in this unfolding story. I could feel that the weight of this warning was meant to be shared. What I had seen was a mirror reflecting the potential that resides within humanity. The ability to change, to unite, and to be beacons of light in a world desperately in need of healing. Waking up in the hospital was jarring. I remember the sterile smell of antiseptic and the faint murmur of voices just outside my room. My body felt heavy, as if gravity had decided to play a cruel trick on me. The memories of what happened flooded back, leaving me momentarily breathless. I found myself grappling with a torrent of doubt. How could what I experienced be real? Could I truly be a messenger after all that had happened? As I lay there, confusion set in. Images of Jesus, the light, and the urgent warning swirled in my mind like echoes of a distant dream. Had it been a hallucination? A trick of my subconscious? I wrestled with disbelief, thinking maybe I had simply imagined it all during those 6 minutes. I felt as though I was caught between two worlds, the miraculous and the mundane, striving to find acceptance in both. Returning to my normal life felt daunting. The thought of navigating my daily routines, meeting expectations, and interacting with friends and family while carrying the weight of such a transformative experience was overwhelming. Doubt clawed at my resolve with sharp, unyielding fingers. What would others think of my story? Would they ridicule me, dismiss my experience as fanciful nonsense? The fear of judgment settled in my chest like a thick fog, suffocating my newfound excitement. Yet, even in this haze of skepticism, I felt a flicker of something more, a whisper deep within me that urged me to find truth in my experience. Slowly and painfully, I began to embrace that truth. There were moments when I closed my eyes and reflected on what I had seen and heard in that timeless space. I realized that the love and acceptance I felt with Jesus during that encounter could not merely be a figment of my imagination. It was real, and it had a purpose beyond my understanding. Choosing to live authentically was no easy feat, especially with the weight of fear trailing behind me like a shadow. I had to remind myself that this journey was not just mine. It was meant to be shared. Acceptance did not come overnight, but each small step made me stronger. Each moment of self-discovery lit up the path ahead. I began to trust that I had a purpose to fulfill, one that extended beyond my own comfort zone. That moment of realization became the catalyst that pushed me forward. I found the resolve to rise above the fears that had threatened to pull me back into the depths of doubt. It led me to take the first step in sharing what I learned, to find my voice, and to encourage others to join me on this crucial mission. Only then did I understand that facing this storm of fear and uncertainty was essential in transforming not just my life, but perhaps the lives of many others. The days that followed my near-death experience were filled with profound changes that touched every aspect of my life. I found myself instinctively gravitating towards new spiritual practices, ones that centered on compassion and mindfulness. I started each morning with meditation, where I would close my eyes and visualize the light I had encountered, letting that warmth fill not just my heart, but my thoughts and actions. Reaching out to friends and family became my priority. I felt an urgent need to share my experience, to articulate the love and peace I had felt in that sacred space. My conversations shifted from the mundane to the deeply meaningful. I urged them to foster connection and understanding in their own lives. I wanted them to see the world through a lens of empathy, just as I'd started to. Each heartfelt discussion deepened our relationships, and I felt a bond forming that went beyond anything I had previously known. It was like a thread connecting us all in a tapestry of shared humanity. But I knew I could not stop there. My burning desire was to create a ripple effect of kindness to combat the foreboding challenges that lay ahead. I took proactive steps to advocate for change. I initiated community projects focused on preparedness and empathy, events aimed at awakening spiritual awareness in others. We hosted workshops where we discussed how to cultivate compassion and understanding, encouraging people to connect beyond their differences. I invited community members to come together for food drives and support groups, urging everyone to extend a helping hand, especially to those feeling isolated or fearful. I realized that in the face of the uncertainties I had seen, our collective spirit and kindness could serve as a beacon of hope. Every encounter and shared experience strengthened my resolve. Together, we could navigate the storm. As I continued this path, I could not help but ask, what can you do today to foster change within your own circles? Each small step has the power to create a tidal wave. I knew that if we harnessed the love and understanding we all possess, we could make the world a little brighter, preparing ourselves for whatever challenges await us. Standing here today, I know my near-death experience was not just for me. It's a call to action for everyone. It's an urgent reminder that we all play a role in shaping our reality. I have witnessed firsthand the power of love, the resilience of the human spirit, and the urgency of our mission as we face uncertain times ahead. In that moment with Jesus, I realized that the love we share can transform even the darkest moments into something profoundly beautiful. I am more convinced than ever that we must prepare not with fear, but with faith. Focus on the connections you make, on the kindness you extend to others. Each of us has the power to spark change, and it begins within. If this journey resonated with you, please subscribe, like, and share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Join me in amplifying this message. Together, we can shine brighter as a community. Remember, every act of kindness nurtures change. We are the architects of our future. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Your presence here matters deeply. Remember, we are all in this together, and the future depends on how we choose to love and unite. Let's not just face what lies ahead. Let's create a path filled with compassion and hope.